#1 deli in Palm Beach County for 20 years. Our mother.
She makes sure you prepare everything from scratch using only the freshest ingredients.
Mansour's Italian Deli is located on Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard, right next to Rain Dancers.
Is that a strip club?
No, it's a steakhouse. Mansour's is open weekdays from 8 to 5 and offers free delivery. So stop by or call 697-9411. That's 697-9411.
We also specialize in hot and cold catering for corporate functions and special events.
Just ask anyone who was at my last birthday party.
Hey, it's Josh Cohen for the Accident Attorneys, Anajar and Levine. To take back control of your life. So do that. Take back control of your life. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-FREE. 1-800-747-3733. Anajar and Levine, Accident Attorneys. Take back control of your life.
Now, it's time for a little R&R.
All into the bucket, lays it up and in.
Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy! Light him up, Colin!
Back in studio for a Tuesday edition of Russo and Rizzo, live here from the City Place Studios in downtown West Palm Beach. Good afternoon, everybody. Colin Russo here, joined alongside me, Mike Rizzo with Christian Cat behind the glass as always, making sure we go over the airwaves right here at ESPN 106.3. Week 10 in the books on the NFL side of things, Week 11 on the NCAA side of things. You're going to hear from the College Football Playoff Committee tonight. You will see our new 12, who is projected to get into that final 12 into the college football playoff this year, first year of expansion. We'll see what happens there. Monday Night Football last night. The Dolphins back in the win column, now moved to 3-6. Rams were sitting at 4-4 on the uptick. They fall now to 4-5, sitting a strong 2 games behind the Arizona Cardinals there in that NFC West, which is competitive now. Dolphins won that one 23-15. Pretty ugly. But it was execution in the red zone that was the difference maker in that one. The Rams could not put the ball in the end zone by any stretch, while the Dolphins, all took us a couple plays there, a couple touchdowns, and they were able to stay ahead and eke out that victory on the road. Dolphins got an easy schedule now. They're 3-6, relatively healthy. Tua hasn't played great, but he's been serviceable. But they're playing with some guts. And the Rams, I think the Rams, nobody knows what type of team the Rams want to be. In terms of consistency, they were as healthy as they've ever been in the first couple weeks of the season, since the first week or two of the season, and they stunk last night. So from that perspective, I have no idea what type of team the Rams want to be. Shane Waldron was fired. Goodbye. Another Bears guy taken out to pasture. This is now the talk of the town now is what the Bears are going to do here. How safe is Eberflus? Weirdly enough, how safe is Caleb Williams?
Right. We had the report from Sylvie. Sylvie is a teammate of ours here, Good Karma Brands. Good Karma Brands, obviously, our company that owns a bunch of ESPN stations around the country. And Sylvie, a teammate of Good Karma, reporting today that apparently there have been a few veteran players that were requesting for Tyson Bagent to start. Sylvie also said in his tweet, after talking to a few people with knowledge of the situation, players went to Eberflus and Ryan Poles asking for them to make a change at offensive coordinator. And then the earlier part of what I said, they also have had a few veteran players ask for Tyson Bagent to start. I have a couple of things here. Number one, I'm interested. I would have loved to know which players requested this. I would think maybe DJ Moore, who has been visibly frustrated on the sideline. And then secondly,
who knows, though? Yeah.
Right. And then secondly, let's not forget about the research the Bears put in to get their next offensive coordinator. Because last year, the fall man all year, Colin, for the Bears offensively was Luke Getsy. And he survived the year. He was their offensive coordinator for 2 years, got a new job in Las Vegas this year, didn't even make it 9 months there in Las Vegas before getting relinquished of his play calling duties. So this is just the common trend for the Bears. This is who the Bears are. They're a nightmare offensively, specifically with the offensive coordinator and the quarterback position. And Caleb Williams is already on his second play caller. Thomas Brown is going to take over play calling duties for the Bears. Thomas Brown was recently with the Carolina Panthers calling plays for Bryce Young last year, and he was on Sean McVay's staff back in 2021 when they won the Super Bowl. He was the running backs coach and assistant head coach. So here's another offensive system for Caleb Williams to implement. Now, I don't think it's going to be much different.
It can't be.
It can't be much different because you're midseason. But at the same time, Colin, Bear fans hope it is different because Caleb Williams threw for 120 yards on Sunday.
Well, all right. So to circle back to the report, Mark Silverman of ESPN Chicago, you could hear him on Waddle and Sylvie with former Chicago Bear Tom Waddle. That's on 2 to 6 Central Time on ESPN Chicago, which is why I'm taking this relatively with some merit, because Sylvie would know. And whether this is smoke and mirrors is another thing. I'm not saying Sylvie was in the locker room, but I didn't think anything to this when I even heard of the rumblings that people thought that Tyson Bagent would be a better option than Caleb Williams is at the quarterback position. Let's get something straight. Who in their right mind thinks that a change of quarterback would serve the Bears any good? Mm-hmm. Any good. You're not winning more games with Bagent. Bagent came in last year. I played 4 or 5 games. He was all right against bad teams. He surprised people because there was no film on him when he was at Shepherd College or wherever he was.
Yeah, Shepherd.
So this is stupid. So
it just shows
you can't listen to the actual veterans in that locker room because at the end of the day, they're just as expendable. The only one who's not expendable is Caleb Williams. That's the only one.
And they were never going to bench him anyway. So these reports kind of crack me up. It just shows to me
the organizational dysfunction.
That and how much control Eberflus has lost of the entire situation. And I we're crying over spilled milk at this point. Should he have even been brought back? These have been things we've talked about the last couple of weeks. I personally think not. But the Bears need to figure something out and something out quick, because we all know what this league is, Colin. It's an overreaction league. And I already have been reading things about Caleb Williams being a bust. Caleb Williams, how the Bears...
Ridiculous.
And Colin, how the Bears need to... The one thing the Bears need to prove this year is that Caleb Williams is an NFL quarterback, or else they're going to go back into the cycle of Mitchell Trubisky and Justin Fields.
It's a never-ending cycle for the Bear fan, and for the Chicago Bears is a dysfunctional franchise. You get a couple years here, you got Fox in there, here's your fall man. Then all of a sudden you bring Trubisky in, you bring in Nagy, a guy who is under that Reed coaching tree, somebody who's supposed to revitalize that offense. They have a good year. They get to the playoffs. They think that everything's answered. All falls off a cliff. Then all of a sudden you got Nagy's the fall man. And then you got Trubisky's the fall man. And then you got Eberflus in the mix. And
let's not forget about Justin Fields,
and
too.
now Fields is in there. And then Fields is the fall man. And now Getsy's the fall man. And then now you have Shane Waldron as the fall man. And people are pointing to Caleb Williams to be the fall man. You know who's the fall man is the organization. That's the fall man. That's the dysfunction. There's an underlying theme here, and it starts with the Chicago Bears. It doesn't start with drafting the undisputed #1 overall pick and then making him the root of all problems 9 games into the year. That's not the root of all the problems.
It's unfair, too, not to mention.
It's much higher than that. Caleb is just doing what he's being told to do. He is doing what the coaches tell him to do. And he might not be. He might be struggling mightily. Or is this something that's surprising? That the #1 overall pick on a team that is littered with dysfunction and new coaching staff, he's struggling? We're surprised by this? Why does everybody expect a C.J. Stroud-esque rookie year? That's what people expected out of Williams. They wanted them to make the playoffs and win a playoff game his first year. That's what they wanted.
They expected it because of what Ryan Poles did in the offseason.
And they expect it because they stole that Panther pick from 2 years ago.
Right. Being surrounded by DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift, Rome Odunze. They spent a first-round pick, a top 10 pick, Colin, on a wide receiver after they selected Caleb Williams. We talked a little yesterday in shows of past that maybe now, hindsight 2020, they should have went offensive line or at least signed somebody.
Even then, is Rome Odunze the root of all the problems? Like, let's diagnose what's wrong with the Bears. Is it because they went Rome Odunze instead of some random offensive lineman at 10th overall? Probably not. It's much larger than that. It's much bigger than Shane Waldron. A la the Jets, a la the Jags, some teams are littered with complete and utter just organizational dysfunction. The Bears are one of them. It lies much larger, and it's much more of a plague. It's a disease in that facility. It is not just, cut off, a hand and replace it and everything's all good. Yeah. You got to cut off the head off the snake. That's what you have to do to fix the Bears.
Never had a 4,000-yard passer. They've always, since I've been watching football intently since 2004, always been kind of known as a defensive team. Let's not forget when they made the Super Bowl in 2007. They did it with that defense and Devin Hester.
When they had Cutler in there, they had some good years.
They did.
Totally
and you mentioned 2018 when Matt Nagy had his first year and they had the famous double doink happened. I believe it was maybe Billy Cundiff who had the double doink in the playoffs. Who's the head of the snake? Let me ask you that. Is it?
Yeah, I mean, you could always point to ownership because ownership has a trickle-down effect, but you cannot force.
Yeah, they're not going to sell.
You can't do anything with that. But executives of football operations. I don't have all the names of the people in the building.
So let me run it down for you. Kevin Warren, president of football operations.
I don't
Ryan
know.
Poles, the GM, who's 2.5 years on the job now. I mean, Kevin Warren. That was Colin. The reports were Kevin Warren was brought in there to get a new stadium. Kevin Warren built a new stadium in Minneapolis, and the Bears famously asked for a $4 billion grant a year and a half ago to build a new stadium.
And wanted to move it out of Chicago, too.
Right, and Kevin Warren was kind of leading that, but now we come to find out that Kevin Warren is making football decisions, decided being in on the council if Matt Eberflus should come back or not. Both him and Ryan Poles signed off on Eberflus coming back, and I think it's what you're talking about. It's afraid to go through the turmoil of firing a head coach and starting over. But it was the perfect chance. I don't mean to reiterate what I've been saying, but it was the perfect chance to start over by getting rid of Eberflus with a rookie quarterback. But what cracks me up to Kingdom Come is they did months of research, Colin. Months of research to get an offensive coordinator in the building. He's fired 9 months later.
And Waldron had a sense of moderate success with Seattle, but they did let him walk once they brought in that new coaching staff. Seattle was not afraid to kind of belly up the whole thing. And in a lot of ways, I think Seattle is mostly optimistic about where that team is heading. Somebody asked Jackson Smith-Njigba, and I want C-Cat to pull up the audio. I'll give him a couple minutes here. But Jackson Smith-Njigba from the Seattle Seahawks, he was asked about Shane Waldron and him being, this is after he was hired with the Chicago Bears. And take a listen to what he had to say when asked about what should the Bears expect from offensive coordinator Shane Waldron.
Bears fans are super interested about the offensive coordinator coming in, Shane Waldron. What can you tell them about who they just hired to try to get this offense where it needs to go?
This is live?
We're not live. We're not live.
I'm playing. Good luck to y'all. I mean, he's a great person.
He's a great person. That's not necessarily the vote of confidence that I would, appreciate if I was a Bear fan. Then the writing was on the wall.
And if I could be biased for a little bit, Smith-Njigba gave from a great place at Ohio State that's been churning out offense. He played with C.J. Stroud, played with a lot of successful offenses.
Right.
So
okay.
he knows, I think, what needs to come from an offensive coordinator. With that said, I'm not surprised that Caleb Williams threw for 120 yards on Sunday against the Patriots after hearing
this
that.
Is not a just Caleb Williams, just Shane Waldron problem. This is a top-bottom organizational dysfunction that has trickled down amongst the coaching staff and therefore has trickled down amongst the players. The players don't know what they're playing for or who they're playing for, and the coaches don't know what the direction is and where they should be going. And on top of that, you have executives that are more worried about a stadium than they are winning football games. You got one guy who I think has done a halfway decent job at putting at least the right pieces in place, and it's probably Poles, and that's only on the player side. That is not on the coaching side. It talks about there's a short list of teams that are a complete dumpster fire of all things considered, and it's the Bears, it's the Jets, it's the Jags, maybe the Raiders. It's not a long, and you want to go Giants, you can't go Giants.
Go Browns.
Maybe the Browns. But there is not a long list of that complete and utter dysfunction. The Bears are in that category. It is not just a Shane Waldron problem. They need to belly up that entire coaching staff. If they had any guts, they'd belly up some of those executives too. That's what the Bears need to do. That's the only way that this is going to it's not going to turn around this year because they got the hardest schedule I think that you could possibly conjure up. They haven't played a divisional game yet. They have a rough go at it.
And Eberflus historically, I mean, he's historically bad, but bad against the division as well. And when I go back to the point of when you think of the Bears, it's the great defenses, and it's just always been that carousel quarterback. I mean, Cutler, to your point, for a few years until that NFC Championship game against Aaron Rodgers, which they lost. They really haven't recovered since then. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky, hindsight 2020, wasn't a top 5 pick, but he got the brush of the blame. It's just a giant blame game. It's always been a giant blame game with the Bears, and the people who you feel for are the fans. Who Colin, that is a
historical fan base.
That is a loyal.
They've always been there.
It's a loyal fan base, a very provocative fan base as well, very loud fan base, and I think we were expecting, at least I was expecting some good things for the Bears, and maybe a wild card berth. But to your point, with the division games they have to play, I don't know what you do this year. And one more thing, the Bears hold we haven't fired a head coach midseason. It's like a badge of honor for them. They need to maybe get off of that. They probably, instead of firing the offensive coordinator, they probably should have just fired the coach.
Yeah, but I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Caleb Williams is a rookie quarterback, his relationship with Eberflus, and if it even is the right move to, because in a lot of ways you got to think about Caleb's development here too. Of course, the offense wasn't going anywhere with Waldron, and that's the play calling side of it. So maybe instead of changing basically everything, they wanted to change a considerable piece of it with just the play calling and see what, if anything, that changes. And then you could shift, and if you want to, rip out the whole heart after the season, that's what you do with Eberflus.
Is it salvageable? I just think there's so much turmoil within the players and the locker room, because they brought back Eberflus because the locker room loves him. Where are we at now? Where are those people at now?
Is it salvageable for what? This year? No, absolutely not. They're 4-5. Let's go through this. They got the Bears, Vikings, Lions, Niners, Vikings, Lions, Seahawks, Packers.
All playoff teams in my eyes, maybe outside of Seattle.
Are they going to win a single game there? Are they going to win a single game?
I'll say this. The Vikings have shown they've been vulnerable. Now they're a better team, Colin. Don't get it twisted.
Imagine being a Bear fan. A Bear fan has to sit in that division and watch the Vikings, who have had success with a number of head coaches, not great success, but success nonetheless, with a number of head coaches and quarterbacks in the last 10 years. You got to think about the Lions, who just had that insurmountable term, get rid of the dark cloud above them, finally in the mix for the last couple years. The Lions sitting there in their division, and then the most stable franchise, maybe outside of the Chiefs or the Patriots in football, in the Green Bay Packers. That's what they have to sit and watch, where the Green Bay Packers just reload. The Lions finally got the dark cloud from above them, away from them. And the Vikings have been a well-run franchise and a successful franchise, all things considered, for the better part of 10, 15 years.
Hang on, Colin, let's call it for what it is. The Vikings are having the season the Bears were supposed to have. The Vikings are having the season the Bears were supposed to have.
I don't think anybody was expecting the Bears to be 7-2, but I understand the point. The Bears are now screwed. They have to play 6 divisional games out of 8, and they have to finish at Lambeau too. They never win there. They are screwed.
That's the game where everyone gets fired after.
Deal with it if you're Williams. Try to develop as much as you can, and take a good hard look in the mirror once this season ends. And who is the problem? It's not Caleb Williams. We continue the program on after this. It's Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Hurricane fans, the final game of the season is here. Join us on November 23rd at Hard Rock Stadium as the Hurricanes take on the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest. It's Senior Day, a day to honor the incredible players who have given their all to the U. Let's give them a send-off they'll never forget and fill the stadium with Hurricanes pride. Don't miss out. Get your tickets today by visiting MiamiHurricanes.com or by calling 1-800-GO-CANES.
This Thanksgiving, don't let extra pounds steal your joy. At HexisMD.com, enjoy the feast without fear of calories sticking around. They offer semaglutide and trizepatide. No insurance needed. Picture yourself feeling lighter and more energized. Give yourself the gift of confidence and health this holiday season. Join thousands already transforming their lives. Visit HexisMD.com today. That's HEXISMD.com. Your partner in a healthier, happier you.
What's the Anajar and Levine difference? When you're injured in a car crash, we focus on your case so you can focus on the one thing that matters most, getting better. I'm Glenn Levine with Anajar and Levine. We'll fight to get you the maximum compensation you deserve. Call our legal team right now for a free consultation, 1-800-747-FREE. We'll help you take back control of your life. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. In office, West Palm Beach.
Hey, it's Josh Cohen. When you need auto repair, honesty and reliability are everything. Trust the home for honest, reliable service since 1970. St. Lucie Battery and Tire. St. Lucie Battery and Tire has all the tire and battery brands in stock for cars, trucks, RVs, marine, power sports, golf carts, everything. Major and minor service repairs, free tire pressure, battery checks. St. Lucie Battery and Tire, over 50 years in our community. And now with 18 full-service locations, West Palm to the Treasure Coast. Go to slbt.com. That's slbt.com.
Is your credit on life support? Greenway Kia of West Palm Beach will be hosting a credit clinic at the dealership today and tomorrow. Local bank representatives will be on site to grant special approval to consumers who meet certain minimum criteria. If you have a job bringing home $350 weekly, the credit clinic at Greenway Kia of West Palm Beach wants to approve you so you can drive home your new Kia today. Greenway Kia of West Palm Beach will be hosting a credit clinic at the dealership today and tomorrow. Hello, is this thing on? I repeat, Greenway Kia of West Palm Beach will be hosting a credit clinic at the dealership today and tomorrow. If you have a job bringing home $350 weekly, the credit clinic wants to approve you for a new Kia today. So what are you waiting for? Don't miss the credit clinic today and tomorrow at Greenway Kia of West Palm Beach. Call 800-NEW-KIAs or go online at greenwaykiawestpalmbeach.com.
We want to see ya in a Greenway Kia.
Credit affects down payment and approval term.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Shane Waldron out as offensive coordinator from the Bears. The Dolphins finally get back in the win column, moved to 3-6 after a win last night on Monday Night Football on ESPN versus the Los Angeles Rams. They have an easy schedule coming up. They got the Raiders coming up back at Hard Rock this Sunday. See if they can salvage anything. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat, of course, behind the glass. Ton of action over the weekend. A ton of action this next weekend, especially on the NFL side of things. A good Thursday night game. That's where you can have some fun there. We'll make our picks later in the week. But if you want to know where the action is on December 18th, I think Mike could tell you all about it.
Yes, folks, it is the 11th annual Boca Raton Bowl. Get your tickets now by going to BocaRatonBowl.com/tickets. That's BocaRatonBowl.com/tickets. We have another exciting episode of Boca Bowl Weekly coming up tomorrow, an hour-long show where we focus on all the big stories of college football from the previous week and the upcoming week. And also, courtesy of our good friend Kate Chomslin, I'm going to go through the history of the Boca Bowl. We'll go through the 11 years that the Boca Bowl has been in existence, take a look at some of those games, some of the big teams that we've had in the game, and preview a little bit of who we might be seeing in this year's Boca Bowl. Once again, folks, BocaRatonBowl.com/tickets. BocaRatonBowl.com/tickets. Get that 2024 pre-sale sign up. 36 days away until we're in beautiful Boca Raton with the Boca Raton Bowl.
That's the Boca Raton Bowl. Dolphins move to 3-6. Their upcoming games are as follows. They have the Raiders at home, the Patriots at home, the Packers on Thanksgiving Day, and then after a long week, they take on the Jets at home. That's not an impossible schedule. Whether they want to put something together here in a lackluster AFC on that bottom half. Now, I'm not high on the Dolphins. I don't think they have played particularly well, but they're right in it against the Bills, and they took it to the Rams yesterday on the road. So you got to give credit to where credit's due, and with an easy schedule the rest of the way, I mean, they still got the Jets twice. They still have the Browns on the schedule. This is not an impossible, scenario here for the Jets. I mean, not for the Dolphins, excuse me, to put something together of a season. And I would imagine that's what they're looking for.
I'm not sold, Kyle. I still like teams like the Chargers, even the Bengals, the Broncos. I still like those teams a little bit better, but I hear you on the schedule part. I worry a little bit when they got to go outside. I used to kind of disregard that take. I used to kind of be like, I think it's just coincidence here, but the Dolphins really can't play outside. They're at Green Bay and they're at Cleveland. Now, I grew up in Cleveland my whole life. The 29th of December is going to be pretty cold. The 28th, now, Colin, you went to Wisconsin.
It's not going to be bad.
The 28th?
Won't be bad.
So, but a lot of, at the Texans, obviously Texas is a warmer state. That's a dome as well. I think it's retractable, but regardless.
It's not bad.
I'm out. I'm still out on the Dolphins. I think teams like the Bengals, like the Chargers, Sean Payton Broncos, and even the Colts. I know they've kind of stubbed their toe a little bit since Flacco has taken the helm there. I still like those teams a little bit better. But it's good to see Tua get back on track. I will say that.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say is that the Colts have an easy schedule, but they stink. They stink.
But the Dolphins don't.
No, but they don't have. At least the Dolphins have their answer at quarterback. The Colts are in complete limbo into who they want to go with, whether it be Anthony Richardson or Flacco. People can be high on Flacco. Flacco is very hit or miss. He was terrible against the Bills on Sunday. And if you're looking at the schedule, Colts got the Jets still. They got the Patriots. They got the Titans, Giants, and Jaguars. That's an easy schedule. But to that point, they're already 2 games under 500 and with no answer at quarterback and none in sight. And that's for the Chargers. If you're thinking about these AFC wild card, this is going to be a wide open AFC side of things. You got Denver, Indianapolis, Cincinnati really hanging around there with the Chargers a little bit. But those are the 4 or 5 teams that are hanging around for that last couple wild card spots in the AFC side of things. That's wide open.
How about old khaki pants at 6-3, 9 games in?
I mean, they haven't beaten anybody special, but yeah, I mean, it's in terms of the turnaround, you got to give Harbaugh a ton of credit. Culture turnaround, got the dark cloud out from above them in a lot of ways.
I was more or less like the skill weapons. I understand. I'm not necessarily a fan of paying a receiver a crazy amount of money, but Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnson, and Joshua Palmer, that team's 6-3. Fair play to that, man.
Yeah, McConkey's a perfect fit. Alt was the right pick at right tackle.
Shows how good the quarterback is, too, I think.
Yeah, he's had a great year, Herbert. Quietly a good year. But their schedule coming up, the Chargers got the Bengals at home. Then they got the Ravens. Then they got the Falcons. Then they got the Chiefs. And then they got the Buccaneers, and then they got the Broncos. That is not an easy stretch. For a team that really hasn't beaten a team that doesn't have 7 losses, they've beaten the Titans, they've beaten the Browns, they've beaten the Saints. They beat the Broncos, pretty good win. And, they beat the Panthers. The Raiders. These teams stink.
Yeah.
This is a bad stretch of teams that they've played. They lost to the Steelers. They lost to the Chiefs. They probably should have been in that game more so against the Chiefs. But you can't muddy up every game. Your margin of error is so tiny.
I know you don't get points for keeping it close, but each of their Steelers 10, Chiefs 7,
well, that's what
Cards 2.
But that's the way they play. They want to play that way. They win that way. They lose that way. And that, to me, is not they might get into the postseason, but it's not a recipe that's going to consistently win games.
You're right. I think year one,
But that's the way Harbaugh wanted to do it.
That too.
Didn't have the talent.
And if the status quo holds and the Chargers do end up sneaking into a wild card spot, I think a tremendous success for a first-year head coach to get into the
100%.
playoffs.
For a team that has had the ultimate dark cloud over them in terms of poorly ran organization, they brought in a culture changer. They brought in a guy who, is going to establish his identity onto everybody else, and they already had the quarterback. They were lucky enough to be a situation where they have somebody that they have paid and locked down. And you let the Harbaugh effect trickle down. It worked in Michigan. It's worked everywhere he's went, and let it work for the Chargers.
That dark cloud, that you're referring to, I feel like it all started when the Silver Fox, Doug Peterson, came back in that playoff game.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, they've always been they haven't really done anything, even with back to Rivers. They were always the team that just never was able to do anything in a big game.
That team was loaded too. Cromartie, LT, Sean Merriman.
And they were never able to do anything. And that was Rivers' career. He was a stellar quarterback who was never able to do anything in a big game.
I was not more or less trying to guess like the whole Jacksonville thing, but you didn't bite on the hook. Fair play to your brother.
No. From that perspective, I understand, and they're sitting at 6-3, so they got a bit of cushion. But Miami has an opportunity here to eke their way back into, postseason contention here. And weirdly enough, that's how bad the bottom half of the AFC has been comparatively to the NFC.
No, you hope Tua can stay healthy. That's number one as well.
Diving head first after an interception is not the way to do that.
I hope Tua can stay healthy. And if Tua stays healthy, they could definitely compete with the likes of the Chargers, the Bengals, and the Colts and teams like that. I'm more interested too in what Cincinnati is going to do as well, because I think, Kyle, that loss is, you could go one or two ways after that loss. You could rally around that loss, or things could just fall completely off the wagon. At the Chargers, Steelers at home, at Cowboys, at Titans, their next couple of games, and they end with Cleveland at home, Broncos at home, at Pittsburgh. That's not an impossible schedule either.
No.
So maybe they could piece together something, but at the same time, if you're Cincinnati and you're the Dolphins, you got to hope some of those teams up there lose. You're 2 games back of those teams, and you certainly hope that maybe they could do you a favor and lose some games.
Yeah.
I hate relying. How about this? The point I'm trying to make is you hate to rely on others, right? You hate to rely on other teams to stub their toe. I think that's where the Dolphins have kind of dug themselves right now, is even if they do take care of business, you got to rely on other teams as well to kind of screw up.
Yeah, I mean, only 6 losses with an easy schedule, but you're right. The Bengals are strange because everybody's on the same page that this team's pretty good. They just lose every big game they play. When you lose to the Chiefs in that type of fashion, when you lose to the Ravens on 2 different occasions in dramatic fashion, when you lose to the Commanders, when you let the Commanders score 50 points, they lose every big game they play, but everybody's on the same page that this team's talented, and this team can score, and this team's good. It's very strange. I guess the persona and the identity of that Bengal team. I'm very curious to see how they'll handle the rest of that year.
Defensively, they're a nightmare, and if you think they had somewhat of a defense, they probably eke out a couple of those close games, specifically the Ravens ones. I mean, we talked a lot about that Thursday night game on Friday, and was there any doubt that Lamar was probably going to score if you didn't go for 2? I mean, that's where you're at right now. You can't rely on your defense against a good team. That's not a way to have success. And when you look at some of the teams that are in the same position, the Chargers, the Dolphins, the Bengals, I don't think either defense really stands out to you.
Yeah, I agree with that. That defense is a nightmare. So, but you got to win every big game. You got to win a big game eventually. You're not going to be able to lose to all the contenders in the world and still find your way in the postseason. So the Bengals have a really tricky back half, an uphill battle, so to speak. And we're going to talk with Mike Tannenbaum, the ESPN NFL insider, get his thoughts on the Shane Waldron firing, get his thoughts on maybe, we didn't talk about this yet, is Daniel Jones, are they going to make a change there at quarterback?
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, see who else can give them any sort of opportunity to win? Is that in their best interest? I'm curious to see his thoughts. And somebody who knows what it's like to be in a front office with coaches being fired, whether it be mid-year or after the year like that. I want to get his perspective on how the Bears are going to handle the rest of their inevitable firings, whether it be at the executive position or the subsequent head coaches. Stick around for that. Mike Tannenbaum of ESPN will join us next on Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 1063.
Hey, it's your boy JC reminding you to go on YouTube right now. Hit subscribe on Questionable Call with Josh Cohen. Brand new episodes Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The best from sports, stupidity, and social media. Exclusive on YouTube. Questionable Call with Josh Cohen. Hit subscribe now.
Theo here. EDS is yes. You've heard me say that over and over. So I need you to keep this website in mind too. EDSIsYes.com. For the most trusted AC specialist here in Palm Beach County, EDSIsYes.com. For 24/7 support, EDS is a trained comfort specialist. It's hard to stop a train. There are so many reasons why EDS is yes when it comes to your air conditioning and plumbing. EDSIsYes.com. That's EDSIsYes.com.
Banyan Printing, your trusted printing, mailing, and signage partner in the Palm Beaches for over 45 years. Banyan Printing's new metallic ink press adds that extra shine so that your product comes out in glossy gold, sparkling silver, or any other color you want to shine. Banyan Printing is the official printer of Kaiser Athletics and would love to be your official printing partner as well. Order products and learn more about what Banyan Printing can do for your business at banyanonline.com or call 561-586-6220.
Good people. It's your boy Theo Dorsey, and let me tell you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Prize Picks now offers Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this sports season. Think Justin Jefferson will get more than 83.5 yards next week? How about Lamar Jackson? More than 1.5 touchdowns. Cook up hot takes with your friends and win real money this football season when you and your crew run your game on Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code THEOD to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code THEOD and get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
Hi, I'm Scott Smith with Smith Ball Baez and Prather, Florida Injury Lawyers. As you have likely seen and heard, law firm advertising is at an all-time high. Attorney ads seem to be part of every radio and TV commercial segment. Some firms are even using paid actors and actresses to speak for them. At Smith Ball Baez and Prather, we know that the decision to hire a law firm should never be based on advertisements alone. It is our past results and many positive 5-star reviews that we encourage you to read at smithball.com to learn more about our law firm. We have board-certified lawyers. We have lawyers listed in the best lawyers in America and in super lawyers. But most importantly, we have experienced lawyers located right here in Palm Beach County and the Treasure Coast that are ready to be your advocate and your voice, and fully prepared to start fighting for your legal rights today. Our purpose, legal power. Our mission, huge results. If you've been injured, the lawyers at Smith Ball Baez and Prather will help. Call us at 500-HELP, 500-HELP. With Smith Ball Baez and Prather, help is just a local phone call away. Offices Palm Beach Gardens, Boca Raton, and Port St. Lucie.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 1063.
Continuing on here on a Tuesday edition of Russo and Rizzo live here at the City Place Studios in downtown West Palm Beach. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat behind the glass. Here we are, 2 weeks in November, and an offensive coordinator, goodbye, gone, from the Chicago Bears. Only lasted about 10 games. Perfect person to ask about this, somebody who's been in the front office, somebody who understands what midseason, postseason turmoil looks like when you're firing people. I'd like to welcome in Mike Tannenbaum, former general manager of the New York Jets and executive vice president of football operations for the Miami Dolphins. Joining us now on Russo and Rizzo. Mr. Tannenbaum, how are you doing today? What's going on?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you?
Excellent. Elephant in the room, Shane Waldron out as offensive coordinator. So there's a couple ways everybody knew that the Bears were one of the bigger disasters at the midway point of the season comparatively to the rest of the league. What's your perspective on this? I want to get your initial reaction before we really dive into it. Go ahead.
Well, look, Caleb Williams has talent. That's undeniable. But with that said, I think everyone's a little bit guilty here. They got DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, and obviously Keenan Allen. But to me, their offensive line has struggled. Darnell Wright has been hurt. He hasn't played as well as I thought. And you go back a year ago to USC guys, Caleb Williams is a good player with talent, but he hasn't played great. So I think it's a combination of a plan that wasn't ideal and inconsistencies by Caleb Williams.
Mike, when you look at the Bear team, do you think structurally it's an issue? We talked a little bit about how that team kind of has just had turmoil at the quarterback position and the offensive coordinator position. How does a team get over that?
I think you need organizational alignment. I go back to my very first draft, Mike, when I was the GM of the Jets. We took the Berkershaw Ferguson and Nick Mangold, and they were bedrocks of a lot of good teams. And you show me a good offensive line, I'll show you a good offense. And the inverse is, show me a good offense without a good offensive line. You look at the Chargers; they're currently exceeding expectations, guys, and they have a really good offensive line. So to me, I think it's just hard to have one without the other.
Mike, with Eberflus, they decided to have him come back in the offseason. Last year, they decided to bring in Waldron to some degree of confidence from the Seattle Seahawks. Clearly, that has blown up. Is this sort of a scapegoat situation? Last us through the end of the year and then reevaluate from a larger scale, whether that be Eberflus out and to belly up that whole coaching staff? What do you think this is sort of the preceding notion for comparatively to what we're going to see from the Bears, from not only from the rest of the year, but into the offseason?
Yeah, you really never know. I mean, we had this conversation a year ago, and, the Raiders bounced out Josh McDaniels, and, Antonio Pierce came in, and I'm sure the narrative that day, guys, was like, oh, Antonio Pierce, former player, he'll be a great, sort of placeholder, and then they'll run a more robust search. And obviously we know how that all turned out. So the point is, hey, maybe Thomas Brown does a great job. And, who's to say, he's not meaningfully in contention to stay there along with Matt Eberflus. Likewise, Darren Rizzi got off to a good start, right? The same speed, unexpectedly, the Falcons. Does he have a chance? So that's what's great about the NFL, guys. We don't know what's going to happen, and it's always a meritocracy. So, and I think that's what's so intriguing about this situation.
In your opinion, will the firing of Waldron do anything to kickstart that offense?
Yeah, they got to run the ball more, guys. That's really one of the things that Buffalo did a year ago when Joe Brady took over. I think that'll help slow the game down for Caleb Williams and maybe start off let's walk before we run, meaning hey, let's get 15, 20, good sort of pass plays and then sort of reboot from there. So I do think that this could be meaningfully better. Obviously, you'll see how it goes, but I'm cautiously optimistic.
Mike, if you were Ryan Poles, would you have brought back Matt Eberflus?
Well, yeah, I would err on the side of doing that because one of the things, if the three of us were running the Bears, I would have said to you guys, if you had a big hand in hiring Matt Eberflus, I would have challenged you to say, did you believe in your process back then? And if you did, why give up on your process now? I'm a big, process over results.
Interesting. So I tend to agree. If I was in a position, now granted, nobody would ever trust me to run an NFL franchise, but if I was in that position too, I thought they played hard for him. And, all things were trending upward if you were the Bears. They just need to change that offensive play calling duty, which is not Eberflus's ballpark. And you would have thought that everything would kind of skyrocket, and that it turns out to not be the case. Mike Tannenbaum, the ESPN NFL insider, former Jets GM, joining us now. Let's shift to a New York team, the New York Giants. Daniel Jones, Adam Schefter said that he thinks that Daniel Jones' career with the Giants is essentially over, whether that be at the midseason or at the end of the season. To steal one of Mike's questions a little bit, let's shift it to another franchise. If you're sitting there and you're Joe Shane, you know that your job is protected. You know that that head coaching job is protected as well, but you're sitting there losing games in dramatic fashion. with Daniel Jones locked down with a lot of money. You're probably projected to take a quarterback. How do you look at the rest of the year? How do you even approach something like this in the dumpster fire that is the Giants?
Well, you want to know what you have in Drew Lock. You went out, you signed him. Drew Lock's played really good football in the NFL, so that sort of intrigues me, to be candid. And there's $43 million out there that's been well reported in a guarantee for injury for Daniel Jones. So to hear that they're betting him, completely surprised. And my job number one to me would be let's see what we have in Drew Lock.
With the Giants, Mike, what is it? Just the quarterback? Are they a quarterback away in your mind?
Hello?
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, Mike, can you hear me?
Yeah, I lost you there. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, sorry about that, partner. If you're as far as the Giants are concerned, are they a quarterback away, or is there a little bit more that you think they need to focus on? Because a lot of the conversation I hear is once the quarterback's figured out there in New York, they could really have a decent enough team.
Yeah, look, I think they're better. Certainly, Malik Neighbors seems like a building block. Tyron Tracy seems like a building block. So you got Burns, Thibodeau, and Lawrence across their defense line, which is obviously outstanding. So I don't think the cupboard is bare, but I don't think it's as simple as waving your magic wand and saying, "Hey, we got a quarterback. We're good to know."
Interesting, Mike. From what you've seen from the Miami Dolphins, we saw them play last night. Is that a situation in which the Dolphins, do they need to make a change, whether it be from a coaching perspective, or is this just try to salvage what you can the rest of the way here, sitting at 3-6 with a pretty easy schedule the rest of the way? The Dolphins directionally, I think, are a bit challenged, and they don't necessarily know what direction is the right one with all the money tied up in certain positions. What do you think you're going to see from the rest of the year from the Dolphins? Is this just a salvage and then reload, repeat? What's your takeaway on the Dolphins?
Yeah, I was encouraged by last night. So, I would say, hey, let's see kind of what happens here. I think it's kind of a great of incomplete. And, let's see where it goes. But I thought they played good last night. Calais Campbell, wow, I thought he was outstanding, guys. I was really surprised that he yeah. Chop Robinson made a play. So Zach Silo, came back from that orbital injury. So I don't think their season's over. It's, obviously an uphill battle, but that was a good win, and now they come home and they have a very winnable game against, the Las Vegas Raiders.
Mike, do you think they could be a wild card contender?
Well, with 7 teams making it, they're still on the outside looking in, but, I think they're, 3 games back and, still 7 to go. They could lose 2 more games and get in. After that, I think it'd be hard. So, like I said, chances are, under 50-50, but, last night was definitely a start in the right direction.
Mike, Rizzo and I are actually coaching a youth basketball team right here in the Palm Beach County area, 7th through 10th graders, which is a big age group. We have our first game tomorrow. We have practice tonight. I know you have kids that have played in sports, and I don't know if you have any experience coaching because, you've had a busy job and a busy career. I wanted to get your takeaway on this. Do you have any experience coaching at a youth level recreationally in that sense? And if so, do you have any advice for us?
Yeah, fortunately for my kids, I don't, which is probably, I would say 3 things for you guys is to be patient, and then be patient when the parent request comes in.
It's always the parents.
Right. Yeah. And, little Sally and Johnny, they're not getting the right play time. And, it's good luck, guys. You'll need it.
Mike, we're trying to implement a press. Any thoughts on that?
I would overplay for the weekend. I believe in, half-court traps, full man-to-man, out-condition the other side, and make sure that you have a good understanding of the opponents like we can, and overplay to make sure that they have to use that hand, which presumably most of the time is left-handed.
All right, so target that left hand, half-court traps, and full-court press.
Mike, can I get you to a game? I tried inviting everyone here in the office, and, I didn't get a good result. Can we get the great Mike Tannenbaum at a game for the kids?
I think I was going to come, Mike, but I got to tell you, I'm a little bit on the sensitive side. I did see Colin Saturday night at a social event, and he introduced me to somebody and said, boy, Mike's done a great job for us. He's a great guest each and every Thursday night. And, that stung, thinking that, I could have even, impact the program to at least know what day of the week I'm on.
Hold on. You've been on Thursdays and Tuesdays. Let's be fair. Come on. Let's call it like we see it.
Well, that is true, but the way you presented it was like outcome determinative that I was on each and every Thursday.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, off of the technicalities, you're right. But off of the point, I think the point of that should be the first part, how you've been a great guest for us. How's that?
Wait, you guys got me?
Yeah, I got you. I think that the positive we should take from this is you being a great guest on our program, not necessarily the day of the week, which is sometimes malleable.
Okay, I think that's fair. Maybe I should give you the benefit of the doubt.
Come on, Mike. You know I wouldn't screw up the day. Come on, it's both of us here. It's both of us here.
Yeah, I do think the attention to detail would definitely tip in the favor of the Rizzos over the Russos.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's fair. That's actually a decent point, so I'll give you that one. Mike, last one here. I want to get your thoughts on what the Arizona Cardinals are doing. I think that's a pesky team. Murray has played well. They seem to play hard for Gannon. Got a pesky defense. It seems like that they could run the ball well. I've been really impressed with what I've seen from Arizona. They got an easy back half of the schedule. They're trending up, and they're sitting – a clear game above the rest in the NFC West. Is that a team that could really keep, or they just kind of run away from dogs here with the Rams and especially the Niners hot in their tail?
Yeah, no, I think that's totally right. I think they could. They're under the radar, a little bit like the Chargers guys, a West Coast team that's a little bit under the radar, but they played a complete game against the Jets, and James Conner is, an excellent running back. Trey McBride probably a little bit under the national radar, and Harrison's coming. Defensively, I just don't see the pass rush guys, but that's a good call. I think they're really trending in the right direction.
Can they win the division, Mike?
I don't think so. I like the 49ers. I think when healthy, the 49ers are going to be hard to beat, but I think they're much improved guys, and we'll see how it goes. The 49ers to me, because they're getting back McCaffrey, they're getting back Dre Greenlaw. Those are really impactful players. So that's why I would just tip the scales to the 49ers.
Mike, I lied about that being our last point. What's your takeaway on the international schedule and how they're expanding it? I know Berlin and Dublin are now being floated. Goodell's goal is to really have an international game each week. Is this something you're really in favor of, or is this too much of a nuisance in a lot of ways to these teams to travel this much? Do you really even get a lot out of it? What's your takeaway on that?
Yeah, no, I like it. I mean, I think it's good for the game, and certainly, for what we do for a living, guys, there's an insatiable appetite for football. And, look, this year we've seen games in England, Germany, Brazil, and I think, we're going to see more of that in the future, not less of it. And I think that portends well to the popularity of. All
right, fair enough. Mike Tannenbaum joining us now. I appreciate you taking the time, Mike. You will join us next Tuesday, to be clear, but great job as always. We'll talk next week.
Yeah, looking forward to getting a detailed report on your coaching debut.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna.
We got 2 games between now and next Tuesday.
Dude,
so,
Mike, you're coming to one, man. I'm booking. I'm gonna.
If we're 2-0, then you got to come. If
yeah,
we're 2-0.
Listen, you want to get on before the bandwagoners, Mike. Trust me.
All right, guys. Sounds great. Thank you.
All right, Mike.
Mike Tannenbaum, the ESPN NFL insider, former GM and executive vice president of football operations for the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets, joining us then. We'll do a little 5 at 5. We haven't done 5 at 5 in quite a few times.
What? It's CCAT about, by the way, CCAT, how are you, buddy?
You don't talk to me now. We got about 5 minutes and 20 seconds before I talk.
He knows his place. CCAT will get his looped into the situation, and we'll get some 5 at 5 next. Stick around. Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
Kaiser University's flagship campus, the 100-acre residential campus at 2600 North Military Trail in West Palm Beach, extends Kaiser University's educational offerings to over 100 degrees in the heart of South Florida. Kaiser University also has an athletic program with 20 national championships, including the 2024 Women's Swimming and Diving Championship and 2023 football, lacrosse, and men's swimming and diving titles. Visit KUSeahawks.com for the latest.
Here is your reminder. Listen to Unsportsmanlike weekdays at 6 a.m. on ESPN 1063. Here is your reminder. Listen to Unsportsmanlike weekdays at 6 a.m. on ESPN 1063.
PNC Bank is committed to making a difference in the lives of the customers and communities they serve by helping them move forward financially.
As a Main Street bank, PNC is always working to make it easier for their customers to achieve their goals and plan for the future, whether that's through innovative digital solutions or in person. PNC is proud to be part of the South Florida community. See how PNC Bank can make a difference for you at pnc.com/tech. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC.
Does your business leave a lasting impression? Attractive, eye-catching signs help you stand out from the crowd and create a strong brand identity. Our team at Signorama West Palm are experts in helping your business get noticed and get effective signage in front of your potential customers. Our team can turn your blank windows or plain vehicles into money-making branding machines by drawing customers' attention to your business. So if you're looking to leave that lasting impression, call us 561-687-7993 or visit signoramawpb.com.
Ready for some slam dunking family fun? Join us at the Amerant Bank Arena Saturday, December 14th for the 2024 AutoNation Orange Bowl Basketball Classic. The fun starts at 1 p.m. with live performances, photo ops, arts and crafts stations, and a chance to show off your basketball shooting skills. It's all free with your game ticket. Then catch the doubleheader basketball action as the UCF Knights take on the Tulsa Golden Hurricane and the Florida State Seminoles battle the Tulane Green Wave. Get your tickets now at orangebowl.org.
Time now for a PNC pause. PNC Bank is committed to making a difference in the lives of the customers they serve in the South Florida community. See how at pnc.com. You're listening to ESPN 1063.
Tired of being sidelined by a sports injury? Get back in the game with Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Whether you're a professional athlete or even a weekend warrior, you can get back to doing what you love with our compassionate orthopedic team. Experience a new level of care and get back to your best. Welcome to being treated like a pro. Make an appointment today at baptisthealth.net/ortho or call 833-556-6764.
Fight fans, make Twin Peaks your UFC fight headquarters. The official fight headquarters is Twin Peaks. Never, ever a cover. All fight organizations, all boxing, doesn't matter. Never pay to watch the fights. Plus, eat, drink, scenic views, and Twin Peaks 29-degree ice-cold beer made from scratch favorites while watching all the fights. And did I say never pay a cover? That's Twin Peaks, Pembroke Pines, Cypress Creek, Hollywood, Davie, and of course, Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard in West Palm Beach. Your ultimate UFC fight headquarters, Twin Peaks.
Anajar and Levine.
Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
ESPN 1063.
WUUB Jupiter, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
If you are buying a new home in Palm Beach County, whether it's your first time or you're upgrading or downsizing, the clerk's office has the services you need to help protect your investment. Sign up for our Property Fraud Alert program, offering free monitoring of Palm Beach County's official records. You will get an alert if a document, such as a deed or mortgage, is recorded using your name or address. For more information, head to our website at mypalmbeachclerk.com/homeowners. Congratulations on your new home. We are always here to help.
Good Greek Moving and Storage, your superhero movers.
It's Evan Cohen. Missed me already? I'll be back for more on Sportsmanlike with Chris Canty and Michelle Smallman tomorrow at 6 a.m. here on ESPN 1063.
Now, it's time for a little R&R.
All into the bucket, lays it up and in.
Ball game, Rizzo! Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 1063.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy! Light him up, Colin!
Second hour of Russo and Rizzo, the 12th of November, a Tuesday edition on ESPN 1063, live from the City Place Studios right here in downtown West Palm Beach. Colin Russo here. Joined alongside me is Mike Rizzo with Christian Cat, of course, behind the glass. Russo and Rizzo presented in part by our pals over at Hard Rock Bet. Now that we're 9, 10, 11 weeks into the football season, it's time to get started on Hard Rock Bet now that you know how some of these teams are shaping up. You can bet as little as $1. They have so many parlay opportunities. A bettor in South Florida bet $1 on a first touchdown score parlay. 5 different players to score the first touchdown in their game that Sunday. Turned a $1 bet, 5-leg parlay, into $40,000. That's a lot of money to get out of one. He did it on the parlay app. He did it with the Hard Rock Bet on the Discover feature as well. You could do it as well if you get started on Hard Rock Bet. Download it today on the Google Play Store or the App Store, or go to hardrock.bet online. The NBA's back, so is Hoops Bet. The Emirates Cup, for those who care, you could bet on that. Yeah! You could bet, of course, rivalry week coming up in a couple of weeks on the college football side of things. You have a huge week in the NFL, a great Thursday night football game between the Commanders and the Eagles. Got a whole lot to look forward to, a whole lot to get involved in. The app is perfect. It's got the sophistication that the experienced player really wants in their sports book, but it's also simple enough to get acclimated where the newer player can walk in there and get his feet wet pretty quickly. That's how accessible Hard Rock Bet is. If you try it now, you get up to $100 back in bonus bets if that first bet does not win. That first bet can be a parlay. It can be a prop. Be an over, whatever you like to bet, any game you choose. You either win your first bet or get the same amount you bet back as a bonus bet. Try it today. Hard Rock Bet, offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Call 1-888-ADMIT-IT. We're past 5 o'clock, which means we can loop in our reluctant producer, Christian Cat. How you doing today? What's going on?
Oh, spectacular, dude. Had a good cup of coffee. Feeling good this morning. Got to watch a little Brooklyn Nine-Nine in the morning after Good Morning Football. I'm feeling great.
So you get up in the morning and you watch a television show?
Oh, yeah. More often than not.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Yeah, because this job kind of keeps me at the office
you have a later,
late.
Yeah, right. But you have an open morning and you watch, that's how you do it. You don't watch a television at night or anything?
I watch sports at night.
True.
And then it's or wrestling, and then I fall asleep. So that's the relationship time is probably between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m.
Okay.
Interesting.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine, huh?
I didn't realize. I don't know. I just never watched television during the morning.
I was telling Colin in the break, I am very intrigued from the reviews my friends have been giving me about the Penguin.
Everyone's talking about it.
I've not seen the new Batman movie from 2022, so I plan on watching that tonight after practice.
Yeah, probably got to go Batman movie first.
Right.
Batman. Yeah.
Both good. Both worth watching.
And then the Penguin. Colin's really got me intrigued on that.
Yeah,
so.
Both good. So no issues there. There's my recommendation for the day. And I was able to watch that on the plane. That was weird. Go ahead.
They got a new Squid Game coming out soon.
So let me ask you guys this. Subtitles, or did you watch the English version?
I cannot watch the dubbed mouth. Can't match the. I'd rather watch it and read it.
I'm not sure. So this is, and you guys know how much of an anime fan I am. I do dubbed anime because, number one, # support dubbed voiceovers. And number two.
First time that's been said out loud.
Yeah, right.
# support dubbed voiceovers. And number two, I'm not trying to do homework, bro. I'm not trying to,
Reading is homework?
I'm not trying to do homework while watching a TV show. So I can't do the subtitle. The English version was fantastic.
Yeah, I was very anti-subtitles for the longest time in my life due to just kind of really myopic sight and laziness. But I watched Parasite and I was like, that's not bad.
And let me try to defend myself one more time on doing the dubbed anime over the subbed anime. I really have come to like the...
Neither of us watch anime, so that's the problem.
I'm not arguing with you, dude.
It's a little different, I think. My problem is when you're watching people in person and then the voices don't match what their body type is. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You could tell. Do you see that when you're anime's a little different because it's
anime they dub it, and dubbing it means putting it into English. The reason I like the dub, I've come to like a lot of the voice actors that do the dubbing, and they do obviously multiple animes. They're on multiple animes,
and that's who you associate to those characters. As those
correct.
Voices.
Like Naruto, I can't imagine not having Naruto's character not be the dubbed voice in the Japanese voice.
That's not the case. It's something like Squid Game or something that needs subtitles. Parasite, for example, if you just have like some American guy trying to I think that movie is Korean, I believe.
Yeah, Korean is Parasite.
Korean.
Yeah, and it just doesn't fit. It doesn't work because it doesn't sound like that's a person.
You hear an American voice, you can hear a Korean voice.
But boys, that was Squid Game's quickly on that. Very disturbing. And it was one of those things where I thought it bothered me so much and I couldn't stop watching it. You know what I'm saying?
That was good. I never finished it.
Really?
Huh.
You got to finish it.
I know, and it was intriguing.
It
was brought out, I think, in December, right? That's when it came out and it was getting big?
Yeah, December of 2021, I think.
Or 2022, I want to say. One of the two.
No, earlier than that.
It was 2021.
It was just a weird time.
It was my first year in Peoria.
It was a weird time of year, and I don't know. I just never really finished it, but I will get back to it.
But Seacat, the last game they have them play where they have no idea where they're going and they just drop, that was insane to me.
Good spoiler.
I mean, it's been out for 3 years.
But he just said he's going to watch it.
You could have held yourself, But you're right.
Hashtag wake up. It's been out 3 years.
What about the Batman?
Yeah, and the whole thing is the new season coming out.
Are you ready to make fun of me? It's your favorite pastime on this show. I am the person who likes watching a TV show and a movie that already knows what's going to happen. I'm that guy.
Like a new one that
I'm
came
that
out.
guy.
So you'll read the superhero
plot.
spoilers.
Like, for instance, up on the computer right now, I was reading in the break the plot of the Batman 2022.
Oh.
I'm that guy.
Yeah, no.
I'm that guy. It drives my brother
God.
insane.
You're doing homework. What about the homework when you're watching
Drives
it?
my brother
it.
insane that I am that guy.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Is that a patience thing?
I guess it is. I want to know. Like, I want to know what I'm watching.
Right, you'll sit through this.
You just don't want to sit through it. I mean, you will sit through it, but you don't want to sit through it to see what happens.
I want to know what happens and then see how it happens on the film so I can completely dissect it.
So it's like you want to be the guy that reads the book. That's what it comes from. You want to the person that reads the book of the movie that's made afterwards.
That's homework. I don't think he does that.
I read all the Harry Potter books for everyone keeping count. But I am enjoying so the next generation of Naruto is called Boruto, and I've actually been reading that on a month to month. I have been reading that on a month-to-month basis and don't have spoilers for it because obviously it's so new. Been having a little fun with it.
Yeah,
Can't lie.
I tried out Naruto, more like Boruto.
Boruto. It's his son. It's his son.
Low-hanging fruit.
And he's the most, and he is the most powerful being in the Naruto verse, and no one can handle it.
Right. I'm fascinated by that. It started with subtitles, and then,
Yeah, reading the plots of a movie better watch is psycho behavior.
I don't like that.
You should be kept away.
I'm okay with subtitles, though. I'm in on that. I would rather be able to hear it, but sometimes when you're not getting all the dialogue, you need the subtitles.
Yeah, I got converted to a subtitles person when I started dating my girlfriend like 8 years ago now.
Peaky Blinders, you ever watch that?
No.
A necessary. They speak English in that, but
it's not English.
It's essentially not. You need subtitles for that.
Right.
That was really one show that got me.
But here's the thing: even on an English show, you have an American English show. I still have the subtitles on, so I don't miss it.
The one thing
hold on. Subtitles were homework to you.
But I know the language, Colin. Like, I hear it, and I'd be like, wait a minute, what did they say? Oh, that's what he said.
It's like a crutch.
That's how I do it. Because the show I had a problem with recently that I'm like, God, thank God I have the subtitles, was Rings of Power. Because obviously they have the Elven accents and the Lord of the Ring accents, and it's kind of hard for me to pick up on what they said because, number one, I'm hard of hearing. I work in radio. I can't hear anything. So
didn't you just say that subtitles was homework like 5 minutes ago? Did I mishear it?
It's a crutch. Like,
in these Japanese
in a foreign
stuff,
language, you have to read the subtitles or you don't understand what's happening.
Exactly.
I see.
Get helped with it.
Yeah, with English, I hear it, but at the same time, like, oh God. What did he just say? You could look down at the line and go, oh, okay, now it makes sense.
I see.
Very quick.
Okay, interesting. I don't know. I understand the point. A show that got me into that, I watched a German show called Dark, and that got me. You're not cultured if you don't know that show. That show is excellent. It's on Netflix.
Are people nodding along in their car right now? It's like Dark? Was great. The cultured folk in Palm Beach County and the Treasure Coast?
Sci-fi show. It's excellent. But that's in German. I watched that in its original language and read the subtitles for that. That got me into that side of the subtitle game.
Huh.
But in the meantime, let's get to some 5 and 5.
Number 1.
Well, you heard the big news of the day in the NFL. The Bears have fired offensive coordinator Shane Waldron 1 day after head coach Matt Eberflus promised changes and adjustments will come for the struggling Bears. Will this firing turn around the Bears' offense?
Yeah, you got to assume that they'll be better. I mean, what is better? Think about their last 3 games. They were god-awful offensively in every single one except for 2 drives against the Commanders 2 or 3 weeks ago on that Hail Mary game. The rest of that game, they couldn't move the ball at all. And they had 2 impressive Caleb Williams improvisation drives towards the end of the game that gave them that lead. And other than that, nothing.
Right.
Nothing for 3 weeks. That's how bad it's been.
I know New England has a pretty decent enough defense, but it can't get any worse than 3 points against the New England Patriots. I expect this is a soccer term. I expect a new coach bounce for sure. What worries me, though, are the reports of veteran players being out on Caleb Williams. That's very worrisome. If you're a veteran player, Colin, you understand this season was implementing the new quarterback and implementing the number 1 pick. You know what you signed up. And I understand some of these guys are under contract and maybe didn't want to sign up for a rookie quarterback, but you know what this season was about. Get Caleb Williams acclimated to the NFL and hopefully have him look as best as possible.
It's not like they have Flacco sitting back there and it's like this automatic improvement offensively. This is not that situation. This is Tyson Bagent we're talking.
I think it's going to be better, C-Cat, but those reports have me very worried. And as Colin alluded to earlier on in hour number 1, Sylvie of Waddle and Sylvie is a very respected person who covers the Bears in Chicago. He's not just blowing smoke here, all right? So these are viable reports. It is worrisome.
Number 2.
Well, Dak Prescott is out for the year officially. He just had a successful surgery in New York. Are the Cowboys the biggest disappointment in the NFL this season?
Biggest disappointment?
A couple of teams come to mind.
They're synonymous with disappointment, the Cowboys are.
But
that's one thing I'll say.
Here's the thing, Colin. I put it on here because you could argue the Jets, you could argue the Browns, you could argue the Cowboys. I mean, you could even argue the New York Football Giants. I don't think any of us expected it to be that bad. I didn't expect them to make the playoffs, but I didn't expect things to get that bad. There have been a lot of the Bengals, Colin, 4-6 at this point.
I would probably say the Bengals got to be number 1 in terms of the expectations that were levied upon them. The Bengals have played better, but the Cowboys and the Jets are synonymous with disappointment. So maybe people had high expectations, but deep down, everybody knows that the Jets are going to be the Jets and the Cowboys are going to be the Cowboys.
The Cowboys already had a bad taste in their mouth after last year, winning the division, getting a home playoff game, and losing to what I call a rookie quarterback. I understand it was Jordan Love, so fourth season, 5th season in the NFL because he sat. But in essence, losing to a rookie quarterback at home, you gotta have big expectations for this year coming into it.
Yeah. Number 3.
Well, the College Football Playoff Committee will be revealing their second top 25 rankings tonight. We're going to see any surprises?
In terms of where they're going to rank all these SEC teams that we talked about yesterday in depth, that's going to be the key to the castle here. How are they going to view the SEC in contention with some of these, the Big Ten teams are all going to be ahead of them. So let's assume that. But where do, I guess, Ole Miss, where do they hold up against Georgia? Where does Georgia hold up against Alabama? Where does, Mizzou, where do they sneak in? I know they think they're still in the mix, but they shouldn't be. A&M, where are you going to put them? They have 2 total losses, but they're better in SEC play. Where are they going to, this is going to be a big test, a big litmus exam of the eye test of where they see all these SEC teams. Who do they think off of eye test and sort of resume better than the rest? That's going to be the key to that.
For me, C-Cat, since Colin took care of the SEC stuff, is Penn State going to be higher than Indiana? Is Indiana going to be a top 5 team? And also, where are you putting Miami? The AP poll put Miami at 12. Where are you putting Boise State, the group of 5 team? Let's not forget, a group of 5 team gets into this thing. Is the committee going to have the best group of 5 team be in the top 12? Because at the end of the year, they got to be one of the 12 best teams according to their own rules.
Well, they're going to put them at 12 regardless. I guess that actual ranking can be different.
But where do you put Miami then?
Miami will be 3 or 4 in that case because they're assuming that they're going to be that ACC champion still. But I agree in the ranking it might be different. But that's why I can't. For the ranking versus how it's actually going to play out are probably 2 different things. But in terms of where they have to put it, that ACC champion will be right there.
On McAfee today, ESPN college football insider and reporter Heather Dinich said, don't count out a 3-loss SEC team to make the playoff this year.
I think no way. No way.
Who? Georgia? If they lose to Tennessee?
No way.
I have a lot of questions.
I'd be blown. They need a lot of help.
3 losses overall, right, Christian? Not in the conference. 3 losses overall?
Yeah, just a 3-loss SEC team because you kind of think about that sore thumb of Indiana. They lose to Ohio State.
Hey, 1-loss Indiana will 1,000% get in over a 3-loss SEC team.
I'm just saying.
2-loss, there's definitely a conversation.
They're begging to put Alabama and Georgia in this thing. They're praying. I guarantee you that committee is praying.
But you got to value the quality wins. And Indiana probably won't have anything that'll hold a candle to anything any of the three-loss SEC teams could have.
But at a certain point, you got to play who you play, and they won 11 games.
I got to dissect something now that we're back in studio. Now, I think Colin said this because it was overreaction Monday. I don't think he actually meant it. Colin said Indiana was going to beat Ohio State yesterday. I want to know if that was just an overreaction Monday bit because we were overreacting. But Colin,
I think they're going to compete with them. I don't know if they're going to. Who am I going to claim? I think they're going to play well. If they play well, that means they have a chance to win. That's what I think. I think that's going to be their Super Bowl game. I do not think they're going to get blitzed.
The reason I'm pressing him on this is because if Indiana beats Ohio State, I don't think Ohio State gets into the playoff. How do you put a team that's not playing on championship, whatever it is, Saturday, and has 2 losses in a miserable Big Ten conference? And I understand the loss came from what would be a top 4 Indiana team and the number 1 team in the country, Oregon. How do you tell a 2-loss SEC team the Buckeyes are getting in over them, but you have better wins and played a harder schedule?
But that's exactly what you just tell them. Their 2 losses are to 2 top 4 teams in the overall ranking, and they have a win over another team that's going to get in Penn State. That's what you tell them.
Pending your Nittany Lions, who do you got the last 2 weeks?
A bunch of garbage.
Nobody.
Good.
Nobody.
Good.
So that's why, it's a matter of if you want to say an SEC team's going to get left out, let's draw a picture in which an SEC team would be left out, or can't be left out, I should say. If you're going to have multiple 2-loss SEC teams, let's assume, for the sake of argument, that Tennessee has 2 SEC losses to finish the year, right? Because they will lose to Georgia. So Georgia will have 2 losses. Tennessee will have 2 losses. Ole Miss, let's assume they win out because I don't think they have an impossible schedule this year. They just have Florida, and then they have Mississippi State. So I'm going to assume that the Ole Miss will finish with 2 losses. Alabama, Oklahoma, Auburn, and Mercer. Who do you want this 3-loss team to be? If there's anybody that will have a chance, you got to assume. Let's make this Alabama, right? Alabama loses to Auburn. There's our 3-loss team.
Or Georgia, Colin. They could lose to Tennessee this weekend.
Yeah, but then there would be less of a decision-making factor.
Okay.
But I understand the point. You want to make it Georgia because they have that win over Texas?
Yeah.
All right. So Alabama will have 2 losses, and Georgia will have 3. The reason I would want Alabama to be that 3-loss team is because they have the head-to-head over Georgia, but I understand the point. So Georgia's going to be that 3-loss team. Alabama's going to get in. Tennessee's going to get in. A&M?
I think the question is who's going to win the conference and who are the 2 teams going to be in the conference championship. I think 8 teams, and hear me out on this, I think 8 teams are already solidified. Notre Dame, the 4 conference winners, the group of 5 team, and then the runner-up in the Big Ten championship, the runner-up in the SEC championship. Would you agree on all that?
Yes.
Okay, so that's 8 teams right there. That leaves 4. Are you going to put in 2 SEC teams? Or are you going to put 2 Big Ten teams in?
Both. You have 4 left. There's your answer. So you're going to put it that, in my opinion, unless this Indiana loss is that ugly, then
they'll screw Indiana. In my opinion, if Indiana loses Ohio State in any fashion, I think they screw over Indiana because they don't have a good win and they throw in another SEC team.
If they're competitive, no, if it's a 1-score or even a 2-score game where they belong in the same field, Indiana's safe. But if it's an ugly loss,
yeah, then that's be a conversation. But if it's they lose by 13 on the road, they lose 43-30 or something like that.
Want to remind everyone, this was the same committee that told Florida State to kick rocks last year,
and rightfully so.
I agree with you, but
it's a different ball game now. But why are we putting? You're gonna put a 3-loss LSU or a
no? LSU's done.
Whether
Texas A&M loses another game, they have 3 losses, and their losses would be to Texas and Notre Dame as well. 2 teams that are going to be in.
Yeah, the marquee win for A&M would be
LSU.
Yeah, exactly. So no, that wouldn't be your best example. A 3-loss A&M's definitively out.
Alabama or Georgia at 3 losses is what you're saying.
That's the conversation.
It's what it's going to have to be. And Alabama's. I love the rivalry. I appreciate people bringing up Auburn because I want Auburn to be good. I want them to be a storied program again, but they stink.
They should have beat them last year, and they should, going into the game, they shouldn't have been on the same field as Alabama. But
I'll hear it.
They should have beat them when they were on the same field.
Listen to it, man. Milroe made an incredible play.
So, in this situation, You'd have to put in 5 SEC teams for a 3-loss Georgia to get in, because if Georgia loses to Tennessee, Ole Miss, 100% in. Texas, 100% in. Tennessee, 100% in. Alabama, 100% in. Those are 4 locks. You'd put in your other 3 conference champions. That's 7. You'd put in your group of 5. That's 8. Notre Dame is 9. You'd put in that Big Ten runner-up. 10. Now, do you put in a third Big Ten team? Probably. You're looking at 11. So you got 1 team left, and you can either put in that 4th Big Ten, or if, for whatever reason, if Colorado steals a bid against BYU, if they want to throw them a bone, or a 3-loss SEC team, and that's not even considering A&M.
We have our group of 5 in there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
So you'd have to have a decision-making whether to put in a 4th Big Ten team, a 5th SEC team, or a runner-up in something like the Big 12.
Also,
No,
I don't
Big
think
Big
Notre
12's out.
Dame's in Penn.
Say that again?
Notre Dame isn't in Penn. I don't think they could easily win one of these last 3 games of their season. Just slip
You mean
up.
lose? You mean lose
Yeah,
to Army,
sorry.
USC?
They're playing
or
really, really well right now.
They
which is
are.
what- they're playing as good as any team in the country.
Your only hope is Army. I'm done, and Colin's going to be relieved. I'm done trying to make a case for USC being a good football team this year. I've taken off my Big Ten hat on that, as reluctantly it may be. You bring them into the conference, and they have that kind of stinker this year. I'm intrigued to see what happens. Colin, you mentioned a Big 12. The only chance a Big 12 team that could get in if they lose is BYU, because I think BYU is going to end the year undefeated after beating Utah. But I don't even see them putting a 1-loss BYU and a conference loser in BYU in. I really don't even see that.
But then the perspective is, how do you explain that
To the committee.
to the other conferences?
This is the most, when they unveil this 12-team playoff, it will be the most important moment in college football history of the past 25 years. Because it's the precedence.
It is.
You are telling exactly.
It's a fresh start.
These conferences know, but my answer to you, Colin, the committee doesn't give they don't give a hoot. Okay, they don't care about the Big 12 and the ACC.
But if they want to keep the conferences together, they should, because that's part of the reason why that's a contract.
Is that important to them?
Yeah, because they need to keep conferences together. Yeah.
You don't think they want a Super League?
How can you say that? I don't know. It's an 11-year contract that most of these conferences had. The SEC just signed. The Big Ten just signed. There'd be buyouts worth more than some NASDAQ companies. And whether you wanted to do that or not.
Dude, do we not? And then
you'd have to tell a 1-loss Indiana to kick rocks in favor of a 3-loss Georgia, who has lost 3 good games, has beaten Clemson, beat Texas, and got killed by Ole Miss.
Their rebuttal would be beat somebody.
But they can't control that schedule. You can't blame. So now we're blaming the Big Ten for having a bad bottom
Horrible
half.
conference.
Okay, but
get punished for it.
So you want to throw the Big Ten and the SEC. Those are the great conferences. We're not punishing Penn State, but we're going to punish Indiana. Why is that? Why are we punishing Penn State? Why are we not punishing Penn State, but we're punishing Indiana? Because Penn State lost to Ohio State?
Because Penn State travels, and the committee would rather have a team of history like Penn State in it than Indiana.
Then your precedence is all out of whack.
But you
can't do it off
know,
a brand versus...
You know these teams will give the benefit of the doubt to the bigger football teams.
Right, and maybe that happened. I'd be shocked. That is a bad precedent to set.
And you also got to consider the vernacular that's been used in the past in the 4-team playoff. They wanted the 4 best teams. When it comes to the at-large bids, they will want the best teams left out of a conference championship.
CCAT and Colin, who would win, Indiana or Penn State?
Indiana.
CCAT?
I would put Penn State as probably a 4.5-point favorite on a neutral field.
I'm with you on that.
You guys are so high on Penn State. It's unbelievable.
Not that high. I mean, we're talking about a team that they lose to Ohio State. I might bounce them out of the playoffs.
And Indiana just beat Michigan by 5. Michigan stinks.
See what Penn State did to the reigning runner-up? Washington? Whiteout?
You see what Indiana did to them?
No, I didn't watch that game.
Like 56-7?
I had my Peacock subscription on my TV.
This was the first week. It was, I don't...
You want to draw conclusions from that Michigan game? Go right ahead. Their big game is in 2 weeks.
To Colin's point, maybe a bit of a look ahead. You saw what the Buckeyes did against Nebraska with their look ahead against to Penn State.
You guys are so phony with some of these. Your teams have had these too. Penn State and Ohio State have had these games, but all of a sudden you want to draw declarations because Indiana, who is up 14-3, killing Michigan in that first half, let off the gas, let them back in the game, still escaped with the win, go into their bye. They're undefeated.
Who would the country rather see, Indiana or Penn State in the college football playoff?
The country probably 98% would
Indiana.
rather see Penn State.
Really?
Penn State.
To
Really?
root against
Penn
them,
State.
half of them. The other half to root for
And,
them.
And
you
'cause
don't
they're
think
Penn
people would
State.
buy into that story? You don't think they want to see that other than Penn State? Everybody knows what Penn State is. People don't know what Indiana is.
Yeah, and that's why they wouldn't want to watch.
But that's why the intrigue is there. Because Indiana never is there.
You don't buy a ticket to a play where you don't know what you're buying.
Well, you're talking about Penn State fans traveling. I'm talking about the neutral fan. You think the neutral fan's going to care about Penn
Yes.
State?
I think they
yeah.
rather see a team like Penn State than Indiana.
Why? Be
Just-
one reason.
They're Penn State.
What about them?
They had their rich history of tradition.
Yes.
They're not good at football. How about that?
They're pretty darn good at football. They are the best
They're terrible.
title contender of the past 10 years.
Unbelievable. You guys are so fair weather with your teams because he was ready to declare Penn State the best team in the country. I told him Penn State stinks.
They were up
Penn
10
State was terrible. Terrible against Ohio
They
State.
were up 10-0,
Oh, my
C-Cad.
God.
What a comeback
Terrible.
by the Buckeyes.
Indiana
Signature win.
has trailed for 8 minutes all year. 8.
C-Cad,
Total.
signature win against a top 4 team.
8 minutes all year.
Who
They trailed.
beat? Who?
You guys were trailing against Penn State was trailing against Bowling Green for a considerable amount of the game.
Two different arguments you're making.
No,
Who did
I'm making
Indiana
the same.
beat?
I know. I'm making the same argument. I'm talking about the trailing, dominate, play who you play. And I understand that's the same FSU argument. Why'd they expand the playoff to accommodate teams like FSU? So all of a sudden now there's a team like FSU in the playoff in Indiana, and you're gonna screw them out.
Did I miss the press release that was we need teams like FSU in the playoffs? They might have said that.
Why do you give
That's
a
not what they
group?
meant.
Why do you give a group of 5 team a bid? Give me a reason.
To make people happy.
To make people happy, to
make
accommodate the
people
guy
watch.
who plays who they play, and they succeed. That's why. No, hold on. That's the sole reason the group of 5. You just contradict your own argument. The group of 5 team is in there to accommodate the guy who plays who they play on the schedule, and that's the only thing they can do, and that's why they're in.
And that's written in contract to have the 12-team player. There's no like, you know what? We need to have the
No, but I'm talking
feel-good
about
story
I'm
of
talking
the
about
country.
precedent. I'm talking about the precedent. That's the whole. I know it's to make money, but the idea behind having a group of 5 auto select is for that.
Who would sell more, Penn State or Indiana? That's who they're going to pick.
They're not deciding between Penn State and Indiana. They're talking about resume, and they're talking about the fact that there's a 1-loss team here and a 3-loss team there. That is an unreal precedent that they are setting if they do a 2-loss advantage over a team that has lost 3 times, and if they lose to Ole Miss and Tennessee at home.
Their argument would be that the SEC and that schedule was a lot harder and they have better wins. Trust me. As a Big Ten guy, I would rather see Indiana, but, it's probably
Would
not
you?
going to happen.
I'm not getting that impression.
I'd rather see Penn State in over Indiana, but if
they're
I
not
had to
gonna be
choose...
Mike, they're not going to be deciding between Penn State and Indiana.
If I had to choose an SEC team or Indiana, Colin, I'd choose
They're
Indiana.
not deciding between Penn State and
I would
Indiana.
choose, all right, as a Big Ten guy, I would choose Indiana. How about that? But I know that's not going to happen.
We just went through it. They're deciding between that 5 teams right there. That, to me, with the only reason is because they have the head-to-head over Texas, and if Texas has 2 losses, then you could have an argument.
In our argument, it's Georgia or Indiana.
That's a Georgia loses. And I don't think Georgia's losing.
3-loss Georgia or Indiana. I think
Indiana.
I know the answer to that.
Indiana. I can't believe you guys are not.
I know the answer, dude. It's Georgia.
Play who you play. Now, the real question is if Tennessee has 2 losses and then Georgia has 2 losses, then you have even more of a decision to make. Because then screw break. If Texas is sitting there with 1 loss, and then you would have Texas A&M sitting right behind them at 2 losses in SEC play, but 3 total.
It depends who, to your point, it depends who the SEC team is. If it's Texas A&M,
we're talking about 5 teams that have 2 losses.
If it's Texas A&M, Indiana will get in because A&M really doesn't have a good win outside LSU. Agreed?
We're not deciding between Texas and Texas A&M because they'd have the head-to-head. We're deciding between the 5 teams in the SEC that would have 2 losses in that scenario. In conference. That's where it gets
And
tricky.
Indiana would lose to the Buckeyes, and they'd have 1 loss.
Yeah.
Indiana's going to get screwed, Cal.
I would agree because it's 1 loss. It's 1 loss difference. There I would agree. I would not agree with 3. That is a little much. We close out the program.
We got 2 more of the 5 and 5. Come on.
Oh, 2 more?
Number
Okay.
4. Number 5.
They're quick.
All right, we got some basketball on tonight. No way around it. You guys going to watch the basketball tonight?
No.
The college basketball. The college basketball.
Oh,
is
college
the first
basketball,
one.
yes. I'll
So,
watch college
Colin,
basketball.
what's the better game? Michigan State and Kansas or Kentucky and Duke?
The ranked matchup.
And the reason I put this on here, Kyle, Why does Michigan State get invited to these big things still? They're not. I understand that they've had tournament success. They've been to Sweet 16s and stuff, but like.
It should be UConn and North Carolina.
Okay. And then number 5.
Number 5.
The Emirates Cup. What would you.
It takes place at Old Trafford. And
no, not
Liverpool.
yet. But I love that you know that Manchester United plays at Old Trafford. Ask my question to Colin, because I honestly forget it.
Does winning the mid-season, that's what this Emirates Cup is, because I guarantee maybe 1% of listeners, fans, viewers know what I just said, the Emirates Cup. If I didn't say NBA, no one knew what I was talking about.
Okay, all right, finish your
question.
The mid-season tournament. I want to answer the question.
Does winning the NBA mid-season tournament mean anything?
Hell yeah!
No.
We're hanging a banner!
No.
It's a chance to win a trophy.
No.
Guys, hardware is on the line. I love that the NBA is doing this. International soccer does this, and it's awesome. The FA Cup.
Don't they do it out of season?
No, it's in season.
It's during the season.
It's during the season. So Manchester United is my favorite team. They're going to be involved in 3 other competitions this year along with their League Cup. They are in Europa League, the Carabao Cup, and the FA Cup. Winning those cups is a huge deal. We got hardware on the line, C-Cat. We have hardware on the line.
It's called the Carabao Cup?
The Carabao. The Carabao
okay,
Cup.
like you got to care about this NBA in-season tournament.
It's called the EFL, the English Football League, all right? And it's
so the only reason you care is because there's soccer parallels.
I want to normalize these tournaments mid-season as a big thing. I wish you can't do it in the NFL because how violent the game is. I understand that. But like I wish baseball would get rid of 20 games in the regular season and implement some kind of damn tournament to spice things up, for God's sakes. Because everyone tells me everyone hates baseball.
Why is the mid-season tournament? How's that spiced up anything? Did anybody care last year?
I think people over time are going to care about it.
Just by implementing a trophy.
They had their biggest star and the biggest team last year win, and nobody cared.
I'm hanging a banner for this. I hope the Cavs win. I hope Atkinson's listening. Go for it.
Once you get down to bracket play, I think you should average out the viewership of those tournament games in the middle of the season compared to whatever the 25th regular season game in 2022 and 2021 were. The viewership went up a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. I
Quickly.
think they do consider it a success, but I mean, nothing like crazy.
Boys, I know we're
in the 1.5 million range.
I know we are well up against it, so I'm going to make this quick. Each big league in soccer, there's the French league, the Spanish league, the Italian league, and the English league, and the German league. Those are the big ones, all right? Each one of those countries does their own, cup where that country's teams compete against each other. Those club teams compete against each other, and the winner gets the trophy. Huge deal because all of the teams in the country get to compete. Like the EFL is a step below the Premier League, which is Division 1. And the EFL team
you're talking about merging leagues then. There's no other league to merge with the NBA.
But no,
they're playing the same guys.
That's all right. That's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is I want to normalize mid-season trophies and tournaments as big things to spicing up these leagues a little bit. Not a lot of people are watching the NBA. Well, not a lot of people are watching the MLB. It'd be a good idea.
I agree with the idea that nobody watches it, but isn't the allure the fact that some of these clubs are not playing the clubs that they would play in these cups? Isn't that why that's good? Because they're playing different opponents?
The big, to your point, the big stuff is the EFL teams get to play the Premier League teams and have a chance to beat.
So there's your chance. So isn't that the allure?
But isn't it like, how about last year, Indiana? No one expected the Pacers to be in the championship for the Cup.
I didn't even know the Pacers were in the championship until about 5 minutes ago.
All right, I guess I'm losing this argument.
Your enthusiasm kind of reminds me.
I'm very excited about this because it reminds me of soccer, and I love that the NBA is trying something new. I know it's your number 2 and not necessarily new, but yes, I am fired up for the Emirates Cup, mate.
The enthusiasm reminds me of a lot of people have this in your life. Maybe a friend or a friend of a friend who always has a brand new business idea. And that's a Ponzi scheme. Like this
isn't a Ponzi scheme. It's a tournament.
I understand.
Your enthusiasm is turning me off.
Yeah.
But the more you fight for this, the less I like it.
I need some soccer fans to back me up on this. Those guys, I'm telling you, those cups are huge in soccer. And Champions League, I'm not even going to get into all that because that's a 10-minute segment.
But I understand. But just you're raining the parade a little bit. It's because there's new clubs playing different clubs. It's not the same league.
Well, Champions League is
this is just you're playing the same regular season. They're just allotting a game and calling it an Emirates Cup game.
And different courts, right? Don't they change the hardwood?
Isn't the thing in Vegas? The championship in Vegas?
The Final Four is in Vegas.
Right.
You got to get to the Final Four.
Right. And then they had this brand new court that nobody cares about. Apparently it was a success last year in the eyes of the NBA. I give Silver credit for trying something.
Seacat fired up for the Emirates Cup tonight.
Keep me updated on it.
Yeah, because I will not be tuning in. But that was our what's that, Seacat? Anything else?
I'll be watching Elf. Like
Number 5.
That was it.
You're watching Elf tonight?
Like that is what I would rather do than watch the in-season tournament.
Nutcracker.
I think Elf's a little overrated, but that's just my opinion.
No.
Yeah, not a good movie.
What?
Not great.
All right.
Mr. Grinch over here, all of a sudden the biggest Elf fan I've ever met in my entire life.
I did have a childhood where once I did like Christmas. So.
And Elf was a part of it?
Yes. So were all the old Christmas movies on 25 Days of Christmas. You ever seen the one with Baby New Year, the Rudolph movie? Dude, fire movies.
Oh, I hate the animatronic or the claymation.
Yeah, I like that
Miser.
movie. That was good.
The Heat Miser. Mr. 101.
We're a little too early for Christmas movies. We'll get into that eventually. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Hey, it's your boy JC reminding you to go on YouTube right now. Hit subscribe on Questionable Call with Josh Cohen. Brand new episodes Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The best from sports, stupidity, and social media. Exclusive on YouTube. Questionable Call with Josh Cohen. Hit subscribe now.
Were you uninvited to game night? Do you play board games with the ferocious intensity of an iron-fisted oligarch? Have friends left game night asking, how do you sleep at night? Then you should get a mattress from Mattress Firm. They can help anyone sleep. It's Mattress Firm's Black Friday sale. Save up to $500 on Tempur-Pedic. Plus, get a $300 instant gift. Take 120 nights to love it or your money back. Get matched at Mattress Firm. Sleep at night. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
Improve your golf game fast at the all-new Kaiser University Golf Coaching Center. The Kaiser University Golf Coaching Center has the facilities, tools, and coaching you need. Enjoy the best facilities in the area with an expansive chipping and putting area, practice bunkers, a huge putting green, plus a 2,000 square foot indoor training area with 3 hitting bays, cutting-edge analysis technology, and more. The Kaiser University Golf Coaching Center in the heart of Palm Beach County off I-95 and the Turnpike. Find out more at KaiserGolfCenter.com.
ESPN 106.3 is presented by Rubenstein Law. 1-800-FL-LEGAL. Car accident, truck accident, Uber or Lyft accident, or a slip and fall. Call Rubenstein Law. Call 1-800-FL-LEGAL and visit one of our offices throughout Florida.
Hear that? It's the gentle sound of a waterfall on your hike. And if you were here, you'd take a deep breath of fresh air if you weren't so winded. But you're not here, because your self-care happens out on the road, riding your motorcycle protected by Progressive. And the bugs you wipe from your headlights are all the nature you need. So if you ride, see if you could save with Progressive, America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Get an online quote in as little as 3 minutes, all from the great indoors. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
PNC Bank is committed to making a difference in the South Florida community. That's why they offer military banking products, champion veteran-owned businesses, and provide support to local organizations that empower veterans and their families with the resources they need to succeed. PNC Bank. See how they can help you at pnc.com/military. The PNC Financial Services Group, Incorporated, all rights reserved. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC.
ESPN West Palm is highlighting the best performance of the week, presented by Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Every week, a different team will be featured across ESPN 106.3 and ESPN West Palm Play. The winning performance receives $500, courtesy of Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Do you know a team, player, or school with a killer performance? Nominate them by emailing highschool@espnwestpalm.com. Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Go where the pros go.
It's ESPN 106.3, your home for live sports presented by Hard Rock Bet. Home of the Miami Dolphins, Miami Hurricanes, and all of the biggest football matchups throughout the week. Hard Rock Bet, it's Florida's official sports book. Try Hard Rock Bet now and receive up to $100 back in bonus bets if your first bet does not win. Hard Rock Bet, roll with us. It's offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned by gambling, call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Good Greek moving and storage. Your superhero movers. Business owners, are your employees driving you nuts? Is money tight? Or have you just poured your heart and soul into your business and now it's time to retire and just relax? At Transworld Business Advisors, they have buyers from all over the world ready to buy your business now. Call for a confidential conversation about your business's current value. 561-203-5121. That's 561-203-5121 or visit tworld.com today.
Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys at 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-FREE. Listen, if you're in an accident, car accident, truck accident, slip and fall, trip and fall, injured on the job, workers' comp issues, call Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. They will fight for you. They do not get paid unless you get paid, and they will fight to get you the maximum compensation that you know that you deserve. Do not deal with the insurance companies on your own. That's impossible. They make it as such. And Jean Levine will help you to take back control of your life. Again, you'll always talk about your case with an actual attorney. They answer the phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help you to take back control of your life. Call 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Car accidents, truck accidents, slip and fall, trip and fall. Call Anajar and Levine, my accident attorneys. Anajar and Levine, accident attorneys. Take back control of your life.
Palm Beach County's premier college football event is back. Don't miss the 2024 Boca Raton Bowl, Wednesday, December 18th from FAU Stadium and broadcast live on ESPN. Last year's game saw in-state Rising Power USF beat Syracuse out of the ACC. What will this year's game have in store? Big names, big teams, big action. The 2024 Boca Raton Bowl, December 18th at FAU Stadium on ESPN. Don't miss out. Find out more at BocaRatonBowl.com.
Hey, it's your boy JC reminding you to go on YouTube right now. Hit subscribe on Questionable Call with Josh Cohen. Brand new episodes Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The best from sports, stupidity, and social media. Exclusive on YouTube. Questionable Call with Josh Cohen. Hit subscribe now.
I'm only human, y'all. I'm only human, y'all.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Rolling out here, closing out the program on a Tuesday edition of Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3. Colin Rizzo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat behind the glass. Get ready to celebrate at CP Group's 9th annual tree lighting and holiday extravaganza. That's not this Thursday, but coming up Thursday, November 21st, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the Boca Raton Innovation Campus in Boca Raton, The Brick. Entry's free if you bring a new unwrapped toy or make a discretionary monetary contribution to the spirit of giving donations. Will be collected at the entrance to support the nonprofit's annual holiday gift drive. It spreads joy to thousands of children throughout Palm Beach County. VIP tickets are available for exclusive access to the hospitality tent, including open bars, delicious food, carving stations, special activities just for $60. All proceeds from these VIP ticket sales will go to directly benefit the Junior League of Boca Raton. Secure those tickets today. Space is limited, and the tent historically sells out. Some other things that are going to happen at this tree lighting event. You get exciting meet and greets with Santa and live reindeer. So you'll be able to meet Santa and some of his reindeer then. There's a Santa's workshop. The tented area with holiday-inspired activities. Enjoy face painters and festive arts crafts activities at the Boca Raton Historical Society and Museum. A bunch of artists are going to be there. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. And there's going to be a petting zoo. 20 adorable farm animals in a petting zoo. I love a petting zoo. Go check it out. The CP Group's 9th annual tree lighting and holiday extravaganza. That'll be November 21st, a Thursday, 5:30 to 7:30. Go check that out. Tickets are available now. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3. The Emirates Cup is tonight. Yeah. I think it's once a week they do these group stage games, and they just kind of go out. How about this for a second? The actual groups, there's 6 of them, in the NBA that they have created. I know it's a little early in the year to make declarations on what team's great and what team's not, but at least versus the East versus the Western Conference, because there's 3 in each. There's a Group B in the Eastern Conference for this tournament. Detroit, Indiana, Miami, Milwaukee, and Toronto.
Okay.
Those teams stink. Toronto is 2-9. Milwaukee is 2-8. Miami 4-5. Detroit 4-7. Indiana, the top of the pack, 5-5.
Gotta love the cup. Anything could happen.
How about this for NBA parity? The Western Conference has 11 teams at 5-5 or better. Only one team at 5-5, and that is the Dallas Mavericks. The rest of them are above that, so above 500.
Well, everyone's just looking at the Cavaliers, right? You know,
and on the Eastern Conference, of course, you got the Cavs at 12-0, but they only have 3 total teams that are 5-5 and above, and one of them is 5-5 at the Indiana Pacers.
What are the Knicks at?
Knicks are 4-5.
Oh, see, I don't know how it's possible. They're worse with Cat.
It's a little early to make that declaration. 9 games.
I don't think Cat fits that style with Thibodeau hoops, but I hope I'm wrong. He's a Kentucky guy.
Yeah, it's a little early for that, but you're not going to need to do that much. You're not going to need to be that successful in the regular season in order to make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. It looks like Cleveland 12-0.
About that.
They continue winning, and they have still an easy schedule up ahead. They got 76ers, Bulls, and Hornets next week.
We had I had a ton of friends at that Chicago game. Ton of Cleveland people moved to Chicago, and had a ton of friends there that were sending me pictures and stuff, and they're the talk of the town right now. Golly, that city needs it with how bad the Browns are and how awful it was losing to the Yankees again.
Yeah, Cleveland, they're 6-0 at home, 6-0 on the road. Best start since the 2015-2016 Golden State Warriors, too, who I believe started like 18-0 that year.
Now, was Atkinson on that seat, or was that still he still at the Nets, Colin? Did he come over as an assistant?
It's a good question. He wasn't until the Nets until I think 2017.
Okay. But yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the coach. You said, Colin, they brought everyone back. The conversations I was having with friends in Cleveland was, Riz, we're really running this thing back with Mitchell and then everybody. And I'll tell you what, that coach hasn't played. I should have listened to you before the year you told me Atkinson could coach. I was kind of wary because they brought back the same team. But Darius Garland is turning into a perennial star, and Donovan Mitchell is actually passing the ball now and not taking 50 shots a game. So Evan Mobley turning into a star as well. It's looking good.
Yeah. College basketball gets interesting, too. I'm finally going to be able to watch Duke play tonight. Everybody talks about Cooper Flagg and how he's basically the next coming.
Yeah, Seth Greenberg called him a generational talent today on ESPN.
There's about 5 general talents a year in all the drafts, it seems like, with, Skeens was one, Dylan Cruz was another in the MLB. Then, of course, Caleb Williams was one.
I like Cruz.
Cooper Flagg was one. So
Zion.
There's 1,000 generational prospects. I think we throw around the term a little loosey.
Wemby.
He's a generational talent. That is different. He is worthy of that title. But I'll be curious to see Duke play tonight. I think Kentucky could be in store for a bit of an underrated season. They still have all the NIL money in the world, and I think they have a pretty decent coach in Mark Pope. So, and then John Shire, I never thought has really had the chops to win a big game. I know it's been only a couple of years now that he's been there, and he obviously can recruit because it's the Duke and the Duke brand and the money. But I'm curious to see what Cooper Flagg does tonight. And then Kansas, of course, they have so much talent. And I watched a little bit of that ending against North Carolina, and they just have a couple 7th-year guys who have been there forever, and then a couple 5-stars. They have a good mix and a great coach.
Yeah, I'm excited for the games tonight. This is usually one of my favorite times to watch college basketball with this tournament in Chicago, and I know we touched on it a little bit during the 5 at 5. I love Coach Izzo. Don't get me wrong. Izzo and the Spartans have kind of been a storybook team within the Big Ten. But I much rather see another team in this game. I could argue Michigan State doesn't really start playing basketball until the end of January. Usually they're losing games to bad teams. Who did they lose to last year?
Well, it's also the
JMU at home.
James Madison.
It's
also the Champions Classic, Michigan State.
Right. They have won Mateen Cleaves in 01.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. I think that was the last one. It
was. No, it was Cleaves. Mateen Cleaves in 01.
And then it was Ohio State was in the mix. What was that, 2000 or something
right.
like that?
Well, yeah, because, Greg Oden, Mike Conley, and then the teams after that was Sullinger and Kraft.
Those teams were solid.
They're begging for a Big Ten. And Colin, I think
it's been 20 years.
Exactly. And I think the overriding theme here is that the Big Ten has struggled in hoops outside of Purdue and maybe a couple of Michigan State teams.
And Purdue had struggled until last year where they really got over the hump.
Right. But nonetheless, recency bias with Purdue. But to your point, too, the Buckeyes were good for about 10 years with Thad Matta, and hopefully they could get back with Johnny Diebler. They had a big win against Texas. But
the Big Ten stinks in hoops. It really does.
They do.
Not a good conference. Probably the 4th best,
But
maybe.
hear me out. Illinois will be another, I think, Sweet 16 Elite 8 team coming up this year. They're very young, but they have the talent.
I mean, yeah, they lose Terrence Shannon, they lose Coleman Hawkins.
They got special,
a lot to replace,
and they have though through the portal. They got they got that Boswell kid from Arizona. They have Special K, Kasparis Jakunis from Lithuania. They got Big T in there, Tomislav.
Yeah, but replacing Terrence Shannon was the best player in the tournament last year. That's, to me, is a big shoes to fill. I understand. I like Underwood as a coach.
They got a lot of guys. They're like 8 deep. Benham Rickhouse from Evansville. They had that transfer too. They have a lot of And I understand they lost Marcus Domask too, but
they lost a lot of guys.
But
I'll believe it when I see it with them.
They reloaded.
I'll believe it when I see it with a team like that. And
they reloaded.
But Duke will be interesting to see tonight. And Auburn's very underrated.
Yeah, how about that? Kept beating Samson on their home court.
That was a neutral site.
Was it a neutral site? Okay.
But it was a great game. I watched that game on Saturday night. Oh my God, it was an unbelievable game.
Not a Bruce Pearl guy, Kyle.
I mean, yeah. When I heard that the plane got turned around, did you hear about this? The Auburn team plane.
We were on our way home from dinner.
And the team plane got turned around the night before the Houston game. And because players were slapboxing, and it got turned into quote-unquote horseplay. And 45 minutes into a 2-hour flight, they turned it around and went back to Auburn to drop 2 players off and came back.
Like spilling into the cockpit where the guy...
Apparently...
Who knows, dude?
Apparently the pilot was not happy and the flight attendants were not happy, but it was like a small, tiny little private jet.
Yeah, they people went and reanalyzed the film of the game that Auburn was flying back from. And apparently one of the instigators of this incident
was a terrible body language.
Yes, like he was unhappy when other guys were shooting threes, where he was standing there in the corner, slunched shoulders, not celebrating at all.
Yeah.
You know, we got some good internet detectives out there.
Yeah, Bruce Pearl, famously ruined Lou Henson's 1990 year, the year after the Flying 89, with false accusations of recruitment cheating. So not a big fan of Pearl. And obviously, me being a Fairweather, Kentucky basketball fan, Pearl with Tennessee, now Pearl with Auburn, just rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, Pettiford, there was a freshman on Auburn who dominated. Tamad Pettingford, I think his name is, dominated Houston. He was unbelievably good. And so
Houston,
was Janai
Colin,
Brome.
they're a veteran team still, right?
Yeah, they brought back Cryer.
Yeah, they brought back a lot.
So that was a tremendous win, and I give them a lot of credit. Auburn, I'm in on. The SEC is having a pretty good year this year.
And then also more with the SEC. What's my guy Coach Cal going to do with Arkansas?
Yeah, you got to give them some time. They lost so many new faces.
They lost to Baylor. Colin, can I make an argument against Cal? We say new faces, but 3 out of 5 of the starters played for him last year.
Yeah, but it's a new, entirely new. It's not even Kentucky anymore. We're at Arkansas. And Cal's been another guy. They don't really always start hot either. That's always been a team that takes a month, if not 2, to really get their
unless it's the incredible teams he had with like AD and
right,
Cat.
And that's different. But there's so much input, it's impossible for these college teams to immediately get into stride comparatively to a team.
Yeah,
I mean, like Gonzaga, who's returning a whole lot. Like North Carolina.
Are you in on Gonzaga, by the way, after that huge win against Baylor?
I didn't watch the game because it was in the middle of the night, but I think Gonzaga is solid. I've always liked Few, and Nemhard, it's a good point guard. They have a lot of talent on that team. They play UConn in a couple of weeks here in New York City, so I'll get a sense of how good Gonzaga is after a game like that.
With Gonzaga, Colin, how does he get kids to go there? Like, obviously he had Adam Morrison and stuff, but like Spokane, like, fair play to Mark Few for getting top-tier talent to Gonzaga year in and year out.
He produces NBA talent, and he's a good coach. He's been there forever. He has NIL money because there's no other athletic programs to invest in. And from that perspective, and he goes after European influence too, and that helps. There's a lot of pros produced. John Jacobs, the FAU head basketball coach, was on the Gonzaga staff alongside Tommy Lloyd. So there was a bunch of big-time coaches that have went through the Mark Few coaching tree.
Let me ask you this, as our certified UConn guy. When do they play a big game?
They have a lot. They have the Maui Invitational, which North Carolina is going to be in. And I think Auburn's in that as well.
Because
they have Gonzaga. They have Baylor coming up in a couple of weeks.
Until I see it, it's UConn versus everyone else. I got swindled into thinking another team could win the championship last year.
Yeah, I've watched both games so far with UConn. They're It's going to be a learning process. They're not necessarily going to have the quick turnover that they had last year. I think they got a bunch of guys they're trying to figure out who's who. But they're 10 deep, easy. So off of that alone, UConn's going to be very much in the mix with that coaching staff. It's a Tuesday edition of Russo and Rizzo. Mike and I got youth basketball practice tonight, so that should be interesting. We got our first game tomorrow. Christian Cat picked extra hand behind the glass, making sure we go on the airwaves. As we close out the program, we'll be back at it tomorrow, 4 to 6. Don't miss it. Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Sports fans, it's the best time of the year. It's fall when everything is happening.